Hi, everybody. Well, once again, I'm back to do my next archetypal look at the major arcana. And today I'm focusing on the star, which is probably very familiar to most of you. It's a great card. And when I was starting to study it in the 80s, I remember thinking, that's my card. I just really resonated with the card. I didn't know why. And taking a deeper dive, I think I can see what that was all about. So hopefully I can offer that insight to you as well in this. So the prior card that we talked about was the Tower and how it all came down. And so, of course, that is considered to be after the, a sort of a destructive moment. So after that sort of storm that has gone by and the tower has already fallen and the people are already on the ground, in comes peace. In comes some peace for us. It provides us an opening, a healing, and wholeness that we had not heretofore had. It's a naked woman, stripped of all her identification, which means she was robbed not only of that, but her social identity, stripped right down to nothing. She's essentially exposed to all of the elements, and she is stripped of any pretense. This is all of our basic nature. So she's not utilizing ego here. So she's not pretentious. She's open. She's naked, as they say, to the world, and available for new vestments to be strewn upon her. She's kneeling by a stream and has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the land. She replenishes the water in the stream with one big, it's not a bucket, but it's like a bucket, an urn, and she also replenishes the water on the land. So she's taking this water and she's pouring it onto the land, essentially changing the composition of that land to mud. She touches the collective unconscious in the stream and individuals on earth at the same time. So she's 1 foot in heaven, 1 foot on the earth, so to speak. Her unconscious and her conscious is all divided and basically balanced. She's very concerned with that balance. And, she has to also, she's on one knee because she doesn't want to fall and she wants to maintain that balance. So she creatively interacts both with the water and with the water that's on the earth and nourishes what lies dormant. So as we know, when our plants are outside and we have to go out and water them, and the next day we see verdant flowers and other things, if we did not do that, we wouldn't be witnessing the beauty of what the water does to replenish the plants and the flowers. The water put in the stream has been aerated because it's been in the air, and it's purified, returning to its source. So it comes out and it goes into the air, and then it's poured back in, and it has been transmuted that way. This represents the dividing and sorting out of our insights that are now more available to our conscious state because we are not being locked into this tower, you see. Separating our personal and transpersonal lives, relating micro and macrocosm, human and symbolic, and internal and external. So she's really about balancing those energies that she has newly achieved after sort of being let go from the constraints of the tower. It really represents the breaking down of barriers to the physical, which was the tower, and the spiritual. So we can see the bigger picture of our relationship to spirit, cosmos, and the collective. No man is an island, and no man or woman is also only in the physical world. There is a spiritual component to everybody, and the star makes that very evident. We're now free to operate as spiritual beings in a spiritual experience in the physical world. And we do that each day, especially when we embrace our spiritual side and we take ourselves out of just ego and pushing. These figures work in tandem with the angel of temperance. And there we have two wings that are represented, and connecting her to the archetypal powers. Being naked herself, she's closest to her own nature because we're born that way. She can ground the lightning seen in the Tower card and reminds us of the feeling we are in when we're humiliated, when our self-image is tested, and we must strive to work through a transformation of our ego state. So yes, and the other thing is, remember, Eve was humiliated in the Garden of Eden because she was naked, and she all of a sudden felt, very raw and, available out there. Behind are 7 stars that are here, surrounding a central double star. Each star represents uniqueness, but as much as life is like spokes on a wheel, much like a mandala. Okay, because every star, just as every snowflake, is very, very individual and unique, just as we are. We need to think of ourselves as a unique being living a spiritual experience on a physical plane. This is like a sunrise after a catastrophe, signaling that life does go on. Many, many times we'll see people and they're in the midst of this horror, and they look and see other people in other places, and they're just going on and living their lives as though nothing happened, because it didn't happen personally to them. But when you're tied into the collective, when your unconscious is also part of the bigger collective, you can feel it, you can empathize with it, you can be that person. As they say, there, but for the grace of God, go I. In other words, it could have been us. It could have been somebody we knew. A new vision of wholeness is given to us, yet represents fragments of our personality. And we are always evolving and going, continuous circle of life. This represents our enlightenment, or the realization of 7 planets, 7 stages of alchemical process, or achievement of greatness by one's own earthly spiritual work. We are the ones that have to do the work. We are called to do it. We are called to be spiritual beings, but it is us who is the one that must do that work. All of nature is imbued in spirit, or the God within, as man's redemption to them is a lifelong goal. It is our ultimate task to free our spirit from a life imprisoned by matter. We got to get out of that tower moment and be free. And we're feeling it, and we're feeling that freedom now being called to us here after what's going on in our country, in our world. It is an individual solitary achievement for us all to be done as a result of dedication to our opening to the divine. Nobody can do our own spiritual experience but us. We are the ones that are the architects of our own spiritual experience. We may have someone help us through, but we ultimately are the ones that must live it. Very important. To think we must do this en masse right now as a collective or in groups is erroneous, because we don't need the other in order to do it. In other words, we don't need a church. We don't need a whole group of people to come together in a physical place and do all the work together. We need to do our own individual parts. It's just like with the collective, with what's going on with the climate change and what's going on with pollution. We must do our own individual part, and all those individual parts represented by the stars and the uniqueness is what brings the collective to fruition. We are our own divine masters. We really, really are. There's nothing out there that we need. It must come from within. This moves us to action, to live our lives and to know our lives. It's very important for us to understand our life and what the meaning is and what the meaning has been in other experience that you've had up until this point. We don't have to discern what others are. We just have to know what our own are, and we have that availability to us. We have seen twins in cards all the time. Lovers, the chariots had two horses. There are two impulses also, and two trees are also here in the very back. See the trees? And there's a bird on them. Okay. So we also see the two vases, or the urns, unlike the other ones, but having different functions. One function is to replenish, and one function is to pour onto the earth. The name star has taken us to look to the skies, symbolizing guiding forces. The cosmos map is alive and ever-changing. When we look up, we are not always looking at the same things, even though we do know where there are certain stars, and we can find them, as a recognition. The stars are a pinpoint of illumination for us, an ever-changing pattern that sheds light to us on ordinary time. But light from them is actually past emanation and transcends time. Remember when they said the James Webb telescope went up and saw all these galaxies, and it was wonderful? We're looking at the past. We're looking at what happened then, even though in our present day, we still get the light from these emanations because they're so far away. This is how long ago it was done. Stars also connect us to immortality, and we often thank our lucky stars for good fortune. We borrow illumination, energy, and talents from them when we have our birth charts done, giving some random event in daily life a bit more meaning and a glimpse to eternity in their destiny. Stars are seen as the eye of heaven, where the gods look down on us and they watch over us. The card also is a daytime one, illuminating the earth below. So it's not nighttime here, it's the day when this star card is done, because we can see what's below us. The archetypal woman that's in this card is a creature of the deeps. She's moving in a timeless world of planets before time was ever developed as a measurement, and she's seen beyond time, actually, subject to nature's rhythms. She reclaims and energizes and puts them to creative use, some of which flow back to the stream of unconscious depth of emotions. She represents an ordered world, kneels on the earth, foot in the water, exists in the air, and there are fiery stars above. So she is the combination of all four elements, all in one card. She is both acting and acted upon. Mud and water represent the new world, creating a new reality for her. Our innermost dreams need to be watered, tended to, and planted in this new reality. By bringing unconscious dreams into the conscious reality, we free ourselves from the matter that surrounds us and liberates new insights and intuition to be realized. That's why we do the dream detectives, and that's why we look at the dreams. They are symbols. They are there to help you move ahead, to help you figure out the puzzle. Today, we speak of working on our dreams, or we work with a therapist. When we do this, we will distill our conscious essence, a kind of active meditation that we do. Our imagination is the star in man, the guide we can access to work on the watery unconscious. The card emphasizes the autonomous nature of the psyche. We must not try to direct the stream. We need to let the stream flow as the waters come. She does not just sit by idly either. She uses her imagination to interact in such a way as to show the earthly element is a partner for her. She is independent and able to deal with her fate. She is a strong being, absolutely strong being. We also have and I think I might have passed that in when I was reading off my notes. But Jung said that the individuation concept, man's salvation lies within the depths of one's psyche and we alone are responsible to free our golden essence that's buried within it. To simply labor at outside work is not enough for anyone. We must uncover and free our deeply rooted inner psychic elements. This card represents an important step for all of us in our conscious, active participation in our process of individuation. To be a fully individualized person, you cannot just cling to the outside. It must come inside. You must work on your spiritual side. And the figure representing the calm nature, the setting that offers room for contemplation, and as we grow in silence. I want to bring up the two trees in the back. They kind of look like they're on the same, they're just two parts of a tree, but when things branch off, you understand that concept. It represents the connection between heaven and earth, these two trees. It is a living reality. The two outgrowths of the trees represent transpersonal and individuals. Trees use all four elements as well. And each tree is individual in size and in shape and in type, and they represent the unique way we as individuals work within the collective. So that is very, very important, because we need to know that all of these things have meaning. And look at the mountain in the background. You'll see the mountain there, just below the lower star on the this side. We still have somewhere to go. There's still a higher consciousness that we can attain. We may think it's very close, or we may think it's very far away. Whatever it is has to come up from inside and work its way out. I just want to mention something more about archetypes, because my use of cards and explanations here is archetypal. It is Jungian, and not necessarily what you'd hear a reader say in a tarot reading. But archetypal human beings and figures in our subconscious, including our guides and including any other entities that come through and talk to us, need to be vetted. I think you've heard that word before in politics, where if somebody is running for office, you need to find out what their background is. You need to ask them questions, and you need to look and confront them directly, raise the questions, present any objections if you're not feeling like this guide is giving you good information, because guides are like people at times. Angels know. Guides can be positive or negative, and yet at the same time, you come to trust them, and you believe that what they're giving you is the truth, because you have had a personal relationship with them. But remember that they most of them have been and either were down here as humans, or perhaps this is their destiny. But that doesn't mean that you want to just accept that whatever voices that come through have been perfectly fine. And this has been told by other people on here. It's not just me saying this. Just make sure you ask the questions, and you push back if things seem objectionable to you, just like you would if you were having a discussion with somebody face to face, and you were having a conversation about something that you didn't know if you agreed with or not. Always do this. They are not always loving and positive, and we've seen this in other people who've said, gee, my guides, you can ask the ones that you want to be loving and positive to come through, and you can ask the tough ones to come through, but ask them questions. Make sure you vet them, because the archetypal human being and figures are not also perfect. Every one of them has foibles and flaws, and that would be the same thing if you saw archetypes in movies, or archetypes in the tarot cards as well. So I hope this was informative to you. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you so very much. Much love to you, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.